Three walk-offs in 4 games. The Marlins take the series against the Pittsburgh Pirates, 3 games to 1. It was an incredible experience this weekend, and I could not be more excited.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. You can hit me up at Jeremiah Geiger2 over on X. Thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any episodes moving forward. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And on today's show, I am joined by loud Miami fan, loud Marlins fan. Chase is in the house. How you doing? How you feeling? What a time to be alive.
I just can't stop dancing, man. Like 3 wins and 4 games, you know. This team
3 walk-offs.
3 walk-offs in 4 games. This team wasn't supposed to do anything. You know, last year you started 0-4 against the same series versus the Pirates, not coming in with many expectations. And what do? They shock the world. They make fans want to be in the seats, and we have a big series coming up, but that's for later. Right now, it's about celebrating.
All about celebration. I mean, opening day, it was just a perfect game. You had Sandy and Skeens, Stowers with a walk-off, Derek Hills delivering, and then you go into game 2, you battle back, Otto Lopez hits that home run, but you fall just 1 run short, and you're like, okay, you know, maybe the excitement died down a little bit. And then you have 2 more walk-offs on Saturday and Sunday. And it's incredible. I don't remember a start to a season that is this exciting and this exhilarating to watch. I really can't recall.
It's been a very long time since the Marlins went 3-1. I don't even think under the 2023 Skip Schumacher era did we go 3-1. Again, coming off such a horrible season last year where we lost all our stars and trades, and coming in this year, you know, again, just underrated, underappreciated. These kids, these young athletes being looked at like they're nothing, that they're going to get stomped on. It was just so beautiful to see. It was the ones who you didn't expect to really step up and win it. It's the Derek Hills scoring the winning run today. And we talked about it earlier. You know, we didn't expect him to be on this team. I have faith in Dane Myers whenever he hits. So I kind of had a feeling he was going to do something special Saturday night. But Kyle Stowers, he wasn't supposed to make the team according to the experts. But when Jesus went down, that left that spot open, and we have a victory because of it.
And you have guys stepping up in situations, the situational baseball that the Marlins are playing right now. You know, maybe they get off to a slow start, but when the plays matter most, they're executing. And that is what the difference was between the start to this season and then the start last season, or even in comparison to their opponent this week in the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Marlins stepped up when they needed to most. Yeah, it wasn't flashy. They weren't hitting 9 home runs like the Yankees did the other day. But you know what? A win's a win. And they go into a big series against the Mets, division rival. We'll talk about that later. But right now, it's just, I could not be more thrilled because the entire narrative this offseason, and really not even just this offseason, going back to last season, I grew a little bit despondent with the team. It was tough to see my favorite baseball team just lose 100 games right after a playoff season, trade away some of our favorite players that were on this roster. And there was a ton of new faces. You know, football season comes around, and then it's a long winter. Spring training you had some ups, you had some downs, and the expectations were, well, the Pirates are going to come in, probably win 3 out of 4. Marlins aren't really going to do anything. And instead, they completely do the opposite. They fall behind. They could have easily given up and lost. Instead, they battle back, come back in all 3 of their wins, and win it in the final at bat of the game. It's incredible. I can't put it into words enough how exciting it is. You mentioned Dane Myers. Dane should be playing every day. He should be playing every single day. Saturday's game, he had that walk-off single. Well, it was a ground rule double technically. It was, the baseball rules are different in that situation, but that would have been his third double. I mean, he's hitting the cover off the ball. You're seeing Derek Hill fly around the bases. These guys are exciting.
They want to win, and they're showing right off the bat they're not laying down. It's a big difference from last season where, these bigger guys, bigger names. And shout out to Jazz Chisholm Jr. with 2 home runs today and I think 1 or 2 yesterday, by the way. But shout out to those guys. But last year they were swinging at everything. They were striking out. It wasn't about getting on base. It was about hitting or hitting a home run to start the season. And they went down 0-9, and it showed. This team, they're being patient. Apparently they practice this in spring. They stop swinging at everything. They're being patient. They're getting on the bases. It's next man up. And even when you have bases loaded and no outs, and that quickly turns into bases loaded and 2 outs, it's not like this. It's not deflating. You believe in the next guy that's going to get up, and that's what happened Saturday night. Sandy was great through 4 2/3 innings on Thursday afternoon, evening. And then it just went out of control. And you know what? The Marlins could say, our starter's out. But no, the bullpen stepped up for what it was. They gave up a run or 2, but the team battled back and said, we're going to come back for our starters. They didn't do it pretty, right? I think they gave up the most steals defensively. They had a couple errors in there. But as a team at the plate, they stepped up when they needed to. And they said, you know what? We have Bender. We're not going to let Bendar or Ben Dare, whatever, bring us backwards.
Yeah, I mean, the defense too. We talk about the defense for this team, and going into this season, it was hard to envision a huge step up in terms of overall defensive production. And then all of a sudden, the outfield, Dane Myers has a cannon. I mean, he's a former pitcher. Don't run on Dane. Let's make that clear right now. Do not test his arm. And then you have Griffin Conine with maybe the catch of the year, in the outfield, emulating his father in the playoff series. It's the exact same play. Kyle Stowers snow cones it right on the warning track. The effort I'm seeing from this team is a better effort than I can recall ever seeing. Now, star power, it might not be there. Derek Hill, this is his 3rd team in the last calendar year. That makes him want to compete and want to win even more because this team is giving him a chance. And we're going to talk about the studs from this series coming up next, because there's a couple players in particular that I've doubted, and I've openly doubted. I didn't see the vision, perhaps, and I'm believing now. We're going to talk about our studs of the series right after this. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. If you got your eye on a few underdogs, but there's no underdogs, it's just the 4-1 seeds, FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. With tournament games happening almost every day, and now the Final Four just next week, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Back here with Loud Miami Fan. If you're an everyday listener to the podcast, thank you for tuning in. Share it with your friends. Let's get this show on the road. Let's keep growing the show. Locked on Marlins. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get them. And if this is your first time, I hope you come back, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down in the comment section. the studs of this series, the guys who stepped up when it mattered most. I'm going to open the floor to you. Who's a couple names that you want to shout out?
I'm shouting out Dane Myers first off. He's batting 400 coming into Sunday's game. I think he got a hit today. Dane's just great. He's a great kid, very friendly. I speak with him frequently. And, there's nothing better than seeing someone you believe in do well. Of course, Griffin Conine has to get shouted out. Griffin Conine, the star of the series, has all the pressure in the world to live up to his dad. It's funny. I tweeted yesterday. I tweeted something to the effect of, one day it's not going to be, oh, you're Jeff's son. Instead, oh, Jeff's your dad, kind of thing. And even Jeff alluded to that on one of the broadcasts today. Griffin's going to build his own legacy, whatever that is in his major league career. But to see it start here where his dad's really best achievements happened in the game of baseball and a Hall of Fame weekend and all that pressure on him, he really showed out and showed up today with a monster dong home run, to tie the game. That monster dong of a catch in left field on Saturday night, and even he would have most likely of had a out throw at home or a assist throw from the outfield if it wasn't cut off in a mistake by the first baseman. But those two guys have really led the team. Otto Lopez with the game, they're all stepping up. Derek Hill having the speed. Xavier Edwards not having the best start to the season, but he played well. His defense was there. I give Wagaman some props here as well. He started off 0-6 on Saturday night. He 0 for 1 today, and then he got 2 base hits, so 1 for 3 on a Sunday when he's really showing. I'm not going to let it get into my head where a lot of young kids, young athletes, and I say kids in their early 20s would feel. They all really stepped up. Belozo stepped up. The Gillespie stepped up. There's the not knowing he was going to be in the rotation. Sandy, of course, is a leader on and off the field. It's a team effort. And I'll give the coaching staff credit here, too. You know what? They've done a heck of a job. So, as a team effort, they're winning. And when a team is winning, there's nothing more than building the chemistry that matters and continuing that.
Otto Lopez, I got to shout him out. I thought when the Marlins acquired him last year off of waiver claims, it was a good find. He had a decent season, played really good defense. And then in the offseason, you see Max Acosta and Jared Cerna, who I'm still big fans of, but I just felt like Otto Lopez was just a stopgap player. He was somebody who was filling a role until the time was available to move on from him once the next wave of prospects comes up. And I got to say, if he keeps up the defense that he's shown the ability to play, a Gold Glove caliber defense, he was electric this series. And if he can continue hitting the way he is with elevating the ball, he has enough strength to get it over the fence. We saw an absolute monster home run a couple games ago. Then there's absolutely no reason for Otto Lopez not to stick around. And I'm going to be the first to say I doubted him, but I'm all aboard the Otto Lopez hype train right now because he is somebody who is just a good baseball player. We talk about like five tool players. You think of the Mike Trouts of the world or the Aaron Judge, the 80 grade power. Lopez might not have that one elite trait at the plate, but he knows what to do on the bases. He puts the bat on the ball, and he'll run into an occasional pitch and hit it over the fence. You couple that with good defense, that's what makes a great baseball player. I also got to shout out Kyle Stowers. Stowers is someone who I thought he's like, this is it. This is your opportunity to prove yourself. Go out there and take it. And he's made a terrific play in the outfield, delivered on opening day with the walk-off single down the line, just ripped it. I mean, Kyle Stowers is putting himself in an opportunity where Clayton McCullough can have faith in him. And I've noticed that this series in particular, Clayton McCullough is going to play the matchups. Whether we like it or not, we saw that in today's game when he takes out Dane Myers in the 6th inning and pinch hits for Kyle Stout, or pinch hits Stowers instead. Lefty versus righty. That's what McCullough's philosophy, this organizational philosophy, is been. And we're going to see that more in the future. And then Stowers goes out and makes a great defensive play that maybe saves the game for the Marlins in the long run, gives them an opportunity to win it. So shout out him for making the most of his opportunity this series, and I really hope he continues to do so moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I was one on opening day. I was excited to see Dane get the start. And
Right.
when they released the opening day lineup, Dane wasn't in it, and you had Stowers, and you go, what are they doing? The guy hit 192 in spring.
Yeah.
But they know more than we do. This team has made an astronomical investment into analytics and to development, and they're going to make decisions based on matchups, as you mentioned, and they're doing that. So you know what? Fans are not always right. I'll take the hit on that, and I'm happy with the outcome of what's transpired so far against a Pirates team that, you know what, on paper should have won 3 out of 4, not the other way around.
Yeah, they should have. But like we were talking earlier, the Marlins made the plays when it mattered most. And not only are they relying on the matchups, what I think it does for a player's confidence, for Stowers in particular. Hey, Kyle, take a bat. You're going to go pinch hit for Dane. It's nothing against you, Dane. We just think Kyle gives us a chance right now to impact the game in a positive way. The manager believes in him. The team believes in him. And these guys are hungry. They're hungry to win. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the toughness it's going to take for this team to continue to have success, because it doesn't get any easier. But Derek Hill made a play today in the bottom of the 9th where he hits a dribbler down the line. It was right between the pitcher and the third baseline. And instead of jogging it out like Manny Machado would, or somebody that's making, $35 million a year might take a couple strides off his pace. No, he busts it down the line, gets on first base, steals second, throw goes into the outfield. Suddenly you're on third base. And then he dashes home for the winning run. That inning was all about Derek Hill and his hustle. Hustle is something you cannot teach. You can teach a player technique, but if they don't put in the work and they don't put in their ability to use their speed at every single moment available for them, it's not going to matter. And Derek Hill's somebody who makes the plays in the outfield. Yeah, he might not have barreled that baseball up, but he got on base and then he turns it into a game-winning run. It was just an incredible inning, I felt like, from him.
It was leadership, and
Yeah.
he didn't slow down. He, as you said, turned the burners on, let's say, when he needed to. And he wants to win, and he knows that if he doesn't, there's probably a shorter leash for him with another outfielder who's injured coming back than any of these younger guys. So he's going to have to lead the team and show that he needs to continue to be on this team. I mean, he and Otto are both trade candidates. We'll see what happens with that throughout the season. But leadership and experience come a long way in his case.
Do you think the outfielder that's coming back is obviously Jesus Sanchez when his time to return comes around? The Marlins are going to have some decisions when it comes to playing time in the outfield, because Dane Myers has a great arm. The outfield defense looks really good. Where does Sanchi fit into the equation? Do you have any early thoughts on that?
I have many early thoughts on that. We tweeted to each other about it in text yesterday, because I know you're a huge fan of Sanchez, and I'm not a fan, but
Right.
I've always looked at him as the fourth outfielder, never the leader in the clubhouse, never the guy who you turn to when you need a hit when the game's on the line. He's not great defensively. He's average at best.
He's average, yeah.
He last year he batted 252 or something around there. He's an average hitter. He's just average. and you wanted more from him in his career when they acquired him back in, I think, 2019 or 2020 from the Tampa Bay Rays. He was a prospect who was highly touted, but he's the guy who wasn't traded last year because he had no trade value. So he has value to this team. But and it's a big if for them to continue to do what they did this weekend, right? You're going up against a different level of opponent in the
Absolutely.
next, I want to say at least 6 games. Washington should be a step above us too. So the next, I mean, you got Mets, Atlanta, Mets, Washington in the next 4 series. Mets, Atlanta, Mets, Washington. That's a upper, and even though Atlanta's not playing that great to start the season or hitting that well, but they're still an upper echelon above you. Can this team continue to do what they can? And if they continue to do what they have been doing, Sanchez doesn't have a spot here, because who do you send down if this team is gelling the way they are? And for them to do that, we'll see. I know he's a bigger bat. Maybe he could get some more pop than these guys are doing. But Conine showed today that, he could hit the long ball himself. So as of this moment, I'm going to go on the record and saying, if the team is continuing to play the way they are, Sanchi does not have a spot on this team, because who are you going to send down, and what would be the justification?
Hot take from LMF right off the bat here. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the upcoming schedule and the toughness and that this Marlins team is going to have in order to tread water, in order to continue this success. Remember, it's only been 4 games, and yeah, I might be excited. I might be drinking the Kool-Aid. I really don't care. I love this team too much to not be excited, and I want to see this team continue to succeed. So in the next segment, we're going to talk about what has to happen for that to occur, and maybe, just maybe, the Marlins surprise people. Back here on Locked On Marlins, be sure to check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day, a more comprehensive coverage of everything Locked On baseball related, all the news out there. But we're talking Marlins baseball right now, and the Marlins schedule, you touched on it briefly, it's really tough. It was one of the things going into this season that I noticed in particular. The month of April is no joke. I mean, we got the Mets, the Braves, the Mets, then the Nationals. And then you look after that, you have the Diamondbacks and Phillies. So for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, this schedule's loaded, and really the entire month. But in order to avoid a slow start, that was the key, was being able to avoid that slow start, be competitive, win a few games, and see where you are and reevaluate. Now that you're 3-1, the juices are flowing. Everybody's excited. You have the Mets coming to town. How do you win this series? What has to change? What has to stay the same?
They have to continue to play their game of baseball. They can't try to step up to be the Mets. They aren't the Mets. The Mets are the second most expensive team in the league, depending on who you look at them, or the Dodgers. You don't have Juan Soto on your team. The Polar Bear has started off the season batting 111. He's always done well at Lone Depot Park. So has Soto. The Mets are just a better team on paper. Now they're 1-2. The Marlins are 3-1. If the Marlins could pull off one victory, they're going to end this series at 500. If they pull off 2 victories, they're still going to be over 500. And you've got to play every day as its own day. Do not look forward to the next game. You have Carl Cantrell, who has been a great pitcher of the past. He struggled half of last season for the Rockies. You're not going against the Mets best pitcher either. But again, continue to play your game. Don't worry. Don't try to play up 2. Make them try to play your speed. Make them have to beat your defense. Make them have to make the perfect pitch. And you play your game, and good things will happen.
We have Cal Quantrill on the mound on Monday. And Quantrill is somebody who, I don't know if you saw this, but he reportedly turned down a 2-year deal with Colorado to come to Miami on a 1-year prove-it deal. And to me, when I read that, my immediate reaction was Cal is betting on himself to get back to the better version of himself. There's one reason why you take a 1-year deal for a little bit amount of money in an environment where you're not expected to compete. You pitch well, you either get traded at the deadline and or you make yourself more money in the offseason. So he's coming on with a chip on his shoulder. And then you have Sandy Alcantara in game 2. I want to see how the Marlins utilize the corner spots. I think that was the weakness of this series, if I had to say, was third base and first base. And you had a situation, of course, when Connor Norby goes down with an injury. He's not going to be back for another 3 weeks. But that cleanup spot, that number 4 spot, it was occupied by Matt Mervis or Eric Wagaman. Wagaman got a couple hits. You like to see that. But Mervis really struggled. So they need to see some more production out of those corner spots. Maybe Graham Pauley, who comes around. He hit a really nice double this series. Because other than that, you just got to play your game. Like you said, you got to rely on your defense. The starting pitchers, they have to give you solid starts. It doesn't have to be a 7 or 8 inning appearance. But what Max Meyer did, striking out 7, limiting the walks. He only walked 1 and he went 5 2/3. I'll take that every time. I'll take that from Gillespie. I'll take that from Cal Quantrill. And of course, I have higher expectations for Sandy Alcantara. But I think it starts and ends with the starting pitching, giving yourself a chance to compete in the later innings. You don't want to fall behind 7-0 and then expect to battle back from there,
Yeah, you brought up the contract of Quantrill. He bet on himself last season. It didn't work out for him. He didn't want to stay in Colorado. It's very hard to pitch in that stadium. You want to go to a place that, is going to be facing the best teams in the league, and the Phillies, the Mets, and the Braves. And you want to see how you can pitch against those teams, and then the league will notice you. So good decision to come down here and help us win. With the first and third, it was definitely a blaring red flag that Matt Mervis didn't do exactly what you wanted him to do, which was hit for power. He went 1-7. Wagaman again had the 0 for 6 day, and today 2 for 3. Bride has
Bride,
their DH, and he hasn't really started off that well this season, as hot as he was at the end of last season. So not everybody's going to come out hot at once, but teams are made when players do better than others at certain points of the season, and then gel at the same time when it matters the most towards the end and the playoff run. You saw at the beginning of last season, none of the Marlins were hitting, and that's why we went 0 for 9. So yes, there's a big red flag on this team, and they do need to fix it before Norby comes back, because you can't wait 4 weeks. One of them has to take this opportunity and say, I'm the guy. I'm undeniable. You have to play me.
Johnston's sitting in AAA right now, just for the record.
Johnston, Dustin Ramirez had a good, at least Friday night in the AAA game. Look, I think Troy Johnston deserves an opportunity at any point during the season.
Yeah.
And every point during the season. We all are big Troy Johnston fans.
Yeah, and Augustine Ramirez, a little prospect talk as we wrap up this episode. I mean, the exit velocities that he's putting out, it's ridiculous. 109 miles an hour, just an easy swing too. Really easy and smooth. His bat's ready. Like he could, you could call him up, put him in the 4-hole right now, and he'd be producing. I can almost guarantee that right now. He's so good.
Yep, they're just going to wait a little bit longer to eke out that contract, right? Get
the service time.
Him. Kind of do what they did with Max Meyer a few years ago.
Yeah, but Chase, it was great to have you on the podcast today. Really looking forward to this season, and it's a big series against the Mets. We're gonna definitely enjoy watching that. I'm watching it with a lot of hope. I feel rejuvenated again. I feel like I'm alive, as the great Peter Pratt says.
Well, I hope all the Marlin fans feel the same way. And it's a Monday episode, so everybody have a great week and watch this team be amazing.
Let's do it. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked on Marlins. Until next time, guys, stay safe and let's go fish.